Hello friends, good morning. Today I will explain carrier current protection of transmission line. Now let us first see what is this carrier current protection. In carrier current protection, carrier signals are signals of very high frequency ranging from 30 kHz to 700 kHz. So these carrier signals are transmitted from one end to the other end in order to cause simultaneous tripping of the circuit breakers at both the ends. I will repeat the definition. In carrier current protection, signals of very high frequency called as carrier signals, they are in the range of 30 kHz to 700 kHz are transmitted from one end to the other end in order to cause simultaneous tripping of circuit breakers at both the ends. Now let us consider these two line sections. This is interconnected line having sources at both the ends. Now this carrier current protection is based on phase comparison method, and this scheme is employed for extra high voltage lines, that is EHV lines. Now let us see what is this phase comparison method or phase comparison principle. So here I will consider line section AB. This is current entering end and this is current leaving end. Fault F1 is internal fault, fault F2 is external fault. Now let us consider that this is section A or end A and it is end B. Let us say end A is the end where current enters and end B is the end where current leaves. And we consider the current in the CT secondary. So at section A, let us say this is the current in the secondary of the CT. This is the current in the secondary of the CT. Now for this current in carrier current protection scheme, positive half cycle is taken. So we consider on the positive half cycle. Now this positive half cycle, now let us say we are converting this into square signal or rectifying. So we get signals like this. So these signals are present from 0 to 180 degree, 0 to 180 degree and so on. So only during half cycle the signals are present. This is at end A. That remains fixed. Now at end B. Now when we are considering the current in the secondary of the CT at end B, the secondary is connected in such a way that current is out of phase with respect to the current in the secondary of CT at end A. So at end A, during normal condition, this is the current in the secondary of the CT. So this will be the current in the secondary of CT at end B. This is for normal condition, that is when current is flowing away from B, and this will be same condition or the condition will be same when there is external fault. So in that condition also current is flowing away from point B in this direction. So in normal condition we are assuming that current is flowing like this. So during external fault also current will flow like this. So the CT is connected in such a way that current in the CT secondary is like this during normal condition and external fault. So we take only positive half cycle, we rectify this. So signal will be present from 180 degree to 360 degree, from 180 degree to 360 degree. Now if it is internal fault, then current direction through A will not change, but current direction through B will change. Now it is flowing towards A. So this is internal fault, that is F1. So this direction will also reverse. So in the secondary of CT we get signals like this, current like this. We take only positive half cycle, so signal will be present from 0 to 180 degree and so on. So this is signal after rectification. Now consider the signals for external fault as well as internal fault with respect to the rectified signal at current at end A. So at end A, irrespective of the fault condition, whether it is internal fault or external fault or it is normal fault or normal condition, signal is present from 0 to 180 degree and from 180 degree to 360 degree signal is not present. Now under normal condition and external fault at end B, signal is present from 180 degree to 360 degree. Now in carrier current protection, these signals converted into high frequency signals are transmitted from end A to B as well as from B to A, and then they are rectified. So if we sum up these two signals, then we find that at end A, the signal from 0 to 180 degree is due to current at A and after receiving the signal from B, the signal will be present from 180 degree to 360 degree. Here also, when it receives the signal from A and A, signal will be present from 0 to 180 degree due to received signal, and from 180 degree to 360 degree due to its own signal. So we conclude that for normal condition as well as external fault, signal is continuously present. Now consider internal fault. During internal fault, signal is present from 0 to 180 degree at end A as well as at end B. This is internal fault. So these signals are transmitted to end A, these signals are transmitted to end B. Now when we sum up, at end A, signal will be present only for 0 to 180 degree. At end B also signal is present for 0 to 180 degree. From 180 to 360 degree, signal will not be present at both the ends. If signal or there is discontinuity in the signal, then this is the trip condition. I will repeat, if there is discontinuity in the signal for some period, there is some angle, then it is the trip condition. So if signal is not available, that is trip condition, that is internal fault, and that is trip condition. That is our requirement. Now let us see how this scheme is implemented. So this is the schematic of carrier current protection scheme. This is section A, this is end A and this is end B. I have not shown the generator here. It is end A, it is at end B. So whatever components or equipments are present at end A, same are present at end B also. So let us see what are the equipments. Normally or in general, CT, PT, relay and circuit breakers are there. So this is CT, this is PT, this is relay unit, this is circuit breaker, same is here. Circuit breaker, relay unit, CT and PT. So from CT and PT signals are given to relay unit. This is relay unit. I will explain for end A only. This is relay unit, and from relay unit it is going to carrier current equipment. This consists of transmitter and receiver. So this will be relay unit and this will be carrier current unit. Now this carrier current unit consists of electronic component which has basically the transmitter and receiver. Now this is line trap, also called as wave trap. This is connected in series with the line. So this line trap or wave trap consists of parallel combination of L and C. This is coupling capacitor, this is inductor, this is protection provided against lightning or voltage. Now let us see what is the function of this coupling capacitor and what is the function of this line trap or wave trap. Now I have told that in carrier current protection scheme, signals of very high frequency are transmitted from one end to the other end in order to cause the simultaneous tripping of the breakers at both the ends. So these high frequency signals are transmitted through the transmission line. Now through this transmission line, the power signals are also transmitted. Now if we consider the power signals, this frequency is 50 Hz, whereas for the carrier signals frequency is in the range of 30 kHz to 700 kHz. So that is high frequency. This line trap or wave trap impedance, which is calculated by parallel combination of C and L, is such that for 50 Hz it acts as zero impedance. That is very low. It provides very low impedance to 50 Hz signal, so that 50 Hz signals are easily transmitted through this line trap and they approach NB. Now this impedance is adjusted in such a way that it provides very high impedance to the carrier signals. So when carrier signals are injected in the line, in place of going to this direction, they will move in this direction. Similarly, the carrier signals which are injected in this line, in place of going through this line trap, as it is providing very high impedance, they are coming towards this end and they will not enter this line trap or wave trap. Now let us come to the coupling capacitor. The magnitude of this coupling capacitor is selected in such a way that it provides very high impedance to 50 Hz signals and low impedance to the carrier signals. So 50 Hz signals, that is power signals which are coming from generator, they will not enter coupling capacitor, but they straightway go to the other end. Similarly, When carrier signals are coming from this direction, it is providing low impedance, so they will directly go to the receiver unit of this carrier current equipment. So these are for impedance matching, that is for providing low impedance to power frequency signals, and this is for providing low impedance to the carrier signal. Now let us come to this carrier current equipment, that is electronic component, which basically consists of transmitter and receiver. So first I will discuss transmitter unit. This transmitter unit has three components: oscillator, control unit, and amplifier. Now this oscillator receives signal from the relay unit, that is during positive half cycle. So when it receives positive half cycle signal, it control unit either tunes this on, or it is continuously on and it connects this oscillator to the amplifier during positive half cycle only. This oscillator generates carrier signals during positive half cycle of the current wave, and then it sends this signal to the amplifier. Now why amplifier is required? Now these carrier signals are injected in the line. This line is of several hundred kilometers. So there is possibility that these carrier signals get attenuated during transmission. So in order to increase their power level, these carrier signals are amplified and then injected into the line. So that is about transmitter unit. Now let us come to the receiver unit. Now these carrier signals are received from the line through the coupling capacitor. So first device or first component is attenuator. Now during transmission, these signals are amplified. So we have to bring these signals to low level because all are electronic components. So there is attenuator to reduce the amplitude of this carrier signal. Then there is matching element, that is impedance matching unit. Now impedance matching is not, if impedance matching is not provided, part of this carrier signals will be transmitted and part of this will be reflected. So in order to avoid the reflection, we are using impedance matching element. So when impedance is matched, all the carrier signals are passed on to the next unit, that is band pass filter. Now during transmission, some noise signals are also added to these carrier signals. So in order to avoid or reject these noise signals, the band pass filter is provided so that it allows only the carrier signals to pass on to the next unit. Next unit is amplifier amplitude detector. That is not amplifier detector, but it is amplitude detector. It again detects the amplitude of the carrier signals, whether the magnitude is within the range or not. So if it is within the range, then it is passed on to the next unit, that is carrier receive unit, and this carrier receive unit further passes this signal to the protective relay. So this is all about the components of the carrier current protection scheme: line trap, wave trap, then electronic components which consist of transmitter and receiver. Transmitter consists of control unit, oscillator and amplifier, whereas receiver unit consists of attenuator, matching element, band pass filter, amplifier, amplitude detector, carrier receiver and protective relay. Now let us see how this scheme works. So first I will consider normal condition and external faults, because during normal condition and external fault, the direction of current through end B is away, that is going towards the other source, if you refer to my first diagram. Now let us see the current or the signals at end A. So this is the signal at end A for normal condition as well as for external fault. It is not internal fault. So sorry, I'm sorry. This is the signal available at end A at the secondary of CT during internal fault as well as external fault as well as during normal condition, because direction of current at end A is not changing during internal fault. So this is the current in the secondary of CT at end A during internal fault, external fault as well as during normal condition. So for this signal, positive half cycle is taken and then it is the modulation is provided and carrier signals are generated during positive half cycle. So these are the carrier signals generated during positive half cycle. So modulated carrier signals, they are generated and they are present at end A as well as they are transmitted to end B. Now at end B as well as at end A, these signals are demodulated. So after demodulation, we get this positive half cycle, that is rectangular wave, and you can see this rectangular wave is present during positive half cycle only. Now let us see carrier signals at end B during external fault as well as during normal condition. So CT is connected in such a way that during normal condition, the current in the CT secondary at end B is out of phase with respect to the current in the CT secondary at end A. So this is shifted by 180 degree. Now the modulator modulates this signal during positive half cycle only. So during positive half cycle only, you can see these are the modulated signal, modulated carrier signals sent by end B during external fault as well as normal condition. So these signals are present at end B as well as they are transmitted to at end A. So after demodulation, these are the signals, or this is the rectangular wave at end B. Now let us sum up these two signals at end A and B. Remember, these signals are present at their own end as well as they are transmitted to the other end. So during during normal condition and external fault, this signal is present from 0 to 180 degree and this signal is present from 180 degree to 360 degree. So we get complete signal. Signal is available continuously from 0 to 360 degree, and if signal is continuously present, it indicates that it is either normal condition or it is external fault condition. So there is no tripping. Now let us see what happens during internal fault. During internal fault, signals at end A remain same. So this is the secondary signal or secondary current at end A. This is modulated signal. This is transmitted at end B, and this is the rectified signal. Now at end B, current for internal fault. Now at end B, this was the signal during normal condition. It is present from 180 to 360 degree, and when internal fault takes place, the direction of current at end B reverses. So this will also reverse. Hence, we get signal present at end B in the secondary of CT from 0 to 180 degree only. From 180 to 360 degree, signal will not be present. So this is the current in the secondary of CT at end B during internal fault. This is modulated during positive half cycle, then it is rectified. So this is the signal. Now if we sum up these two signals at end A as well as at end B, we find that the signals are present from 0 to 180 degree only, and from 180 to 360 degree there is no signal. If signal is not available continuously, that is trip condition. Now there is one possibility that during transmission from end B to end A, there is some propagation time, and this propagation time, it may be of about 2 milliseconds. Now 1 millisecond corresponds to 18 degrees, so 2 milliseconds will correspond to 36 degree. So if we sum up the signal at end A as well as at end B, then this signal will be present from 0 to 10 millisecond and for 2 more milliseconds. But after that, that is after 36 degree, up to means after 36 degree means 180 plus 36, that is after 216 degrees up to 360 degrees, signal will not be present. So if signal is not available for time duration more than 30 degrees, then it is the internal fault condition and relay trips. So relay trips simultaneously at end A as well as at end B. Now you can see here the fault can be detected in just one cycle. So if we provide factor of safety, then we can say that fault can be detected in 2 to 3 cycles. So fault detection time is very less. Now let us see what are the advantages of carrier current protection scheme. The first advantage is the scheme provides rapid fault clearing. Second, there is simultaneous opening and closing of circuit breaker at both the ends. Now when there is rapid fault clearing and simultaneous opening of circuit breakers at both the ends, there is improvement in transient stability of the system and there is better post-fault power transfer. Next is, this scheme is not affected by arc resistance, power swings in feed and DC offset of the fault current. We have seen that the resistance protection was affected by arc resistance, power swing in feed and DC offset of fault current. So this is the advantage. The scheme is not affected by arc resistance, power swings in feed and DC offset of fault current. This can be used for station to station communication purpose as well as for telemetry and remote control of power stations. Now let us see what are the, and one more advantage is there. The transmission medium is transmission line itself, hence no extra cost. Also the transmission medium is transmission line, that is robust medium. Now let us see what are the drawbacks or limitations. Number one, the scheme is costly. Number two, it interferes with the communication lines. And third drawback, which is not written here, that is it does not provide the backup protection. It is unit type of protection, means it is providing protection to the scheme or to the part of the power system which is coming in between two cities. So it is unit type of protection, hence it does not provide the backup protection. So these are the drawbacks. And as far as application part is concerned, this scheme is used for EHV transmission lines. Friends, if you feel this video lecture useful, then please like it. Ask your friends, colleagues and your juniors to subscribe to my channel for upcoming video lectures on power system protection and high voltage engineering. I have written one book on time management. This book is very useful if you want to make efficient and effective use of time. This is the link for the book. The link is also given in the description box. I have launched a useful course for the students. The title of the course is Boost Your Learning and Become Top Achiever, a course to boost your brain power and program the mind for success. This course is available in Udemy and this course comes with 30-day money back guarantee and full lifetime access. The course is very useful for the students who are preparing for competitive and entrance exams. This is the link for the book. This is the link for the course. The link is also given in the description box. Thank you.